Hello, my name is Elizabeth Austin, and it is my privilege to share with you the tradition of walking a sacred path, the Labyrinth, and the way that it helps us balance our human need for community and for solitude, especially these days in the time of the pandemic. It is my practice to begin all work with the Labyrinth by invoking the powers, the forces for good. And so please join with me in your thoughts. We invite all the forces for good to be with us here and now. We call on the elemental energies, earth, air, water, fire. We call on the spirits of the land and of the creatures that live in it, the spirits of the waters and those that dwell within, the spirits of the air and those who float and take wing on the wind. We call on the ancient guardians of this planet and its peoples, the long sleeping force of the mythological beings of old. We call on the directions east, south, west, north, above and below, and center. We call on the great mystery, the benevolent powers of creation, to be with us in this time set aside for sacred inner pilgrimage. Amen. So be it. And so it is. So, a little background information here. The labyrinth itself is an archetype, it's a divine imprint. It arose in the shrouds of mystery. We don't know how it came about. We do know that the first images ever discovered are thousands of years old. The form of the labyrinth has changed through the centuries, as you would expect. When we walk, a replica of the 11th Circuit Chartres Labyrinth, placed in the floor of the Chartres Cathedral around 1220, we're discovering a long forgotten mystical tradition that is insisting to be reborn. And whenever we walk a labyrinth, alone or with others, we are in the company of our ancient ancestors. We're carrying forward a thread from the past into the present and offering it to the future. The labyrinth always has only one path. That's how you know it's a labyrinth and not a maze. There are no tricks to it, no dead ends. If you follow the path, it just winds throughout and becomes a mirror for our lives, for where we are in our lives, for the twists and turns that happen as a way of being alive on the earth today. Since 1999, I have been honored to facilitate Ashland's Sacred Walk to the New Year, a non-denominational interfaith labyrinth walk, always open and free to all. We only accept donations. Many volunteers work together to create this magnificent event. Artists, musicians, sacred space designers, all sorts of volunteers come together to create a sacred space where everyone is welcome. Here now is a short video clip from previous year's walks for you to get an idea of what it's like. Perhaps you will recognize people you know or yourself. And so this clip is evidence of the sacred space, the beauty of the sacred space, and the presence of both solitude and community all in one space. Over the past 6 decades, many people in the world have come to know the labyrinth thanks to the international teachings of Dr. Jean Houston. And through her, the Reverend Dr. Lauren Artris became aware of the labyrinth and took it as her life work to take it into the world. Jean always has referred to the labyrinth as the Dromenon. And that word, dromenon, comes from a Greek word which means road or path. In my heart, I have always thought of the labyrinth as the Dromenon. Early this year, when it was apparent that there would be changes required for labyrinth walkers, I was also inspired to create a new sort of labyrinth walk. The use of finger labyrinths was being promoted across the planet, primarily through Veriditas, which is the major labyrinth organization that Dr. Lauren Artris operates. This kind of walk, however, the finger labyrinth that I was inspired to create is known as the Dromenon, Inner Pilgrimages for Modern Times. And perhaps we will see the logo again, which is important to me because it has the labyrinth situated on top of a spiral galaxy where we live. And to me, that's how it evolved. It was a sacred imprint. And it has such power and possibilities as a spiritual tool. So in the Dromenon Inner Pilgrimages for Modern Times, people have gathered from across the country every Friday since the 1st of October. And during that gathering, we use finger labyrinths as part of the event. We meet on Zoom on Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Now, we use finger labyrinths, and behind me, I have my finger labyrinth, which is fairly large. You can see how big it is compared to me. Pardon the noise. It doesn't matter what size your labyrinth is. It doesn't even matter if it's exactly the sharp pattern. The process is the same, and it gives wonderful results, no matter what size it is. When you use a finger labyrinth, you're actually using your finger to trace the pattern, or a pen or a stylus. And there's even an online app called Labyrinth Journey by Mount Mojo. I will offer you now in a few moments the basic process that we use to do a finger labyrinth walk. And you can benefit from using this process anywhere, anytime. And you have the possibility of a very meaningful experience anywhere. It does not have to be led by any particular person. It can be your own. So the first thing is the opening of the labyrinth. And Mary Beth will now put up a slide that illustrates that. When you're standing at the entrance to the Dromenon, that's where the finger is pointing to the entrance. It's important to pause, take a few deep centering breaths. Think about, what is my intention? Why am I walking this? Am I offering a prayer? Am I asking for information? What is my reason for being here? It can be any number of things. Standing there, forming your intention, and then before you actually enter the labyrinth, the Dromenon, trace the outline. In this case, with your finger, if you're walking the labyrinth, which I do as frequently as I can with my feet, I walk around it, the outside, in a counterclockwise direction. The reason for the counterclockwise direction is that to open a spiral to the energies of the universe, you open it by drawing it in a counterclockwise direction, or making the counterclockwise circuit with your body or your fingers. So you're opening to the wonders of the universe when you trace the outer edge in a counterclockwise direction, and then you enter and walk following that path to the center. In the center, the petals are there representing the realms of creation. When you enter, the first petal on the left represents minerals. The second, plants, all vegetation. The third is animals of all kinds, fish, birds, bears, all animals. The fourth is the humans. The fifth, the angelic realm, angels and ancestors, the unknown, the unseen. And then the sixth is the fascinating one that we're living in a big way now, the unknown divine plan. And we're all a part of that plan. So being there and acknowledging it is a good thing. There in the center is a candle. Now that candle represents the children's fire. In the center, it is good to imaginally light the children's fire, to remind us of our duty, our responsibility to protect the children. That duty and responsibility requires that no law, no decision, no action, nothing of any kind will be permitted that will harm the children. In the center, you're waiting for inspiration from above, waiting to hear words, perhaps. Some people hear words, I rarely ever do. Insights, knowings, images, memories. The experience in the center is your own. Harvest that. And when you're ready, retrace the path back to the outside. Then the entrance becomes the exit. And when you're there at the entrance exit, you've received the gifts of the pilgrimage. And so you're ending this experience. And to do that, energetically, you also trace the edge in a clockwise direction, saying that I'm taking these gifts into the world. I'm making them concrete with my actions in the world, is another way to think of it. And I usually do a deep bow several times during this process. It's absolutely up to you. So there's one more step, and that is to reflect. Record your reflections if you possibly can. It could be poetry, it could be any kind of writing, drawing. Just record it, because these are important things that are happening in the labyrinth. And as time goes by, you will be happy that you made these notes. On my bookshelf now, I have 21 notebooks in which people have written their reflections at the Ashland Sacred Walk to the New Year. They've completed the walk and they've written messages, and I keep them because to me they are sacred writings. So that's how you use a finger labyrinth. It is now my deep desire that we can create a virtual labyrinth walk, Dramanon walk, using finger labyrinths this year for the sacred walk to the new year. And I want to include the components of the annual sacred walk and as much of the energy as can be transmitted. Information will be posted on the Facebook page as time goes by. Has to be done by the end of December. And the Facebook page is Ashland Walk to the New Year. So stay tuned to that. So I leave you with the following knowing for sure. Whenever we walk a labyrinth or a dramanon, whether we are alone or with others, we are in company of ancient ancestors. So we are never alone. We are carrying forward a thread from the past into the present and offering it to the future. We are accompanied by the forces for good as we make these walks. And we say thank you now to the forces for good who have been here with us today. Happy Thanksgiving. Take care. Goodbye. There will be contact information on this final page in case you would like to have that. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye.